What's up? William here with the WB Notables Real Estate team and our beautiful little doggy here. And I've got my trusty calculator ready today because we're talking numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm Brandy. We know that figuring out how much home you can afford is a big deal, and it can seem overwhelming at first. But we're here to make it simple and, dare I say, even fun?
Yeah, you can. Well, that's right. Who knew talking about budgets can be so much fun? Spoiler alert, it's not. But we'll try to make it as painless as possible.
So whether you're a first-time buyer or relocating to Western Washington, we're here to help you understand what's possible for your budget and break down what affordability looks like in Western Washington. We're also going to give you some real-life examples of homes and different price points.
Whether your move is just around the corner or still on the horizon, we're here to guide you every step of the way. All our contact details are right below, so don't hesitate to reach out. Isn't that right, Paisley?
Dog insisting on being in Dad's lap. And if this is your first time on our channel and you want the full scoop on living, working, and enjoying life in Seattle and beyond, highs, the lows, and everything in between, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you'll be the first to know when we post something new.
From expert advice to practical tips, we've got everything you need to make informed decisions. So join our community today, just like she did, and start your journey with confidence.
All right, let's start with the basics. Most people hear that interest rates are up or down or what's going on. But what does that really mean for your wallet?
It's kind of like going to buy coffee one day and it's like $4, and the very next day it's $5, and suddenly you're like, wait, do I need to sell a kidney to buy my morning latte?
Well, sort of. Right now, interest rates for a 30-year fixed mortgage are 7% nationally and about the same in Washington. So if you're looking at a $500,000 house, that interest rate can make a big difference on your monthly payments. Keep in mind, the mortgage rate you qualify for depends on your individual situation. Just because the national average is sitting around 7% does not mean that yours will. And there are ways to get your rate lowered.
She just really wants to be on camera. Anyways, let's break it down. For every point that interest rates rise or fall, your monthly payment changes by about $60 for every $100,000 borrowed. So if you borrow $500,000, a 1% change in rate means $300 more or less per month. Over a year, that's about $3,600.
Here in Western Washington, housing activity remains strong despite the higher interest rates. Sources such as Mortgage Daily News are suggesting that due to the volatility of the rate changes we've been experiencing, rather than waiting for rates to decrease, you may be better off locking the rate in sooner than later. There are always ways to lower your rates in the future, and we are not going to see them going back down to pre-pandemic rates anytime soon.
So what about down payment? The more you put down equals more buying power, right?
Exactly. The more you can put down, the less you'll pay in interest. Plus, it can help lower your monthly payments. We recommend aiming for 10 to 20% if possible. But remember, FHA and VA loans can go as low as 3.5% or even zero down if you qualify. Your credit score plays a big part here. For FHA loans, if you have a score of 580 or higher, you could qualify for a minimum of 3.5%. And 10% for scores starting at around 500. Conventional loan requirements vary. The lower your score, the chances of needing a higher down payment increases.
But let's be real, not everyone has a suitcase full of cash lying around. I know I don't. So if you're on the lower end of the down payment, expect higher monthly payments and possibly higher private mortgage insurance, or as they call it, PMI, if you're putting down less than 20%.
Okay, let's talk income. Generally, lenders recommend that your mortgage payment shouldn't exceed 28% of your gross monthly income.
True. Right, so if you make, say, $6,000 a month, comfortable mortgage payment would be around $1,680.
That's just a guideline. Some people are in situations where they are comfortable stretching that percentage a bit. Just remember, the more you borrow, the more your monthly expenses like property taxes and insurance go up too. Using the common rule of thumb of no more than 28% on your housing budget is a great way to set a realistic budget when you're getting started with all of this.
Because let's be honest, we all love nice houses, but we still need to eat. And trust me, my grocery bill, or I should say our grocery bill, is no joke when you have a teenage boy in the house.
So true. And remember, the key to a smooth buying process is getting pre-approved for a mortgage. That way you know your budget from day one. Your lender will help you evaluate your debt to income and help you get a detailed picture of what you can pull off. And even if you think you are not ready because maybe your credit score needs some help or you need to keep saving for that down payment, find a lender sooner than later. A good lender will help you identify the steps you need to get into home ownership. If you need a referral, we work with a few lenders and are happy to help you find the one that you feel most comfortable with. Now, let's break it down with a quick example.
Okay. Let's say you make $100,000 a year. Based on that, your max housing budget should be around $2,300 per month. That includes your PITI, which sounds fancy, but really just means principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Exactly. And depending on your down payment, credit score, and loan type, that could get you a home worth around $500,000 to $550,000. But remember, the less you put down, the more your monthly payment will be.
Yep, and while we love finding those dreamy homes online, the real key is making sure your budget keeps you feeling good, not house poor. Now, let's look at some real numbers. In Seattle, where the median home price is about $880,000, you need a household income of around $150,000 to comfortably afford a home with a 20% down payment.
Now, if you're looking at more affordable areas like Auburn or Federal Way, where median prices are closer to $550,000, you'd need an income of about $90,000 to make things work on similar terms.
All right, enough with the boring numbers and math. Let's talk about something fun, houses. We've picked a few real-life examples from our favorite areas to give you an idea of what different price points look like.
Now, sorry to burst your bubble here, but before we get into each home we have ready for you, I wanted to go over how we decided on our favorite areas to feature. We know that the areas closer to Seattle and to the east of Seattle are hot spots, especially for those working in the tech industry. And as you get out a little further east, for those looking to raise a family, these areas are going to be on the higher end, while areas further south or north or even over to the west are going to have lower median home prices. We want to give you examples that represent a wide variety of options.
Yeah, I suppose we need to address a bit more of the boring parts before jumping into the fun stuff. So, the most sought after cities in Western Washington are Seattle, Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, and Sammamish. Seattle actually comes in at the bottom of this list in median home price.
We decided to go with Seattle today because it really is the most popular city in the area. And when folks from out of state think of this area, they think of Seattle. So next we thought about those who the higher price tags may be a little bit out of reach. If you are commuting to the Seattle area or want to be close to the bigger city amenities, you're going to try to get as close as possible while still affording a decent home. Areas like Kent, Auburn, Renton, Federal Way, and Bremerton are often the areas that meet those needs.
Renton is smack dab in the middle of all the major highways, making it a great commute option. It is close to major shopping areas, entertainment options, and the airport, not to mention right next door to Cougar and Tiger Mountains, offering many hiking and outdoor explorations. We decided to highlight a home close to its median home price of $698,000.
Finally, we wanted to highlight a home on the lower end, showing an option that gets you into a decent home while being more accessible for folks just starting out. We decided on Bremerton for our third example because you are still pretty close to Seattle and you are able to get into a newer build at a pretty low price point. Now, if living closer to the Seattle area isn't important to you, Tacoma is another option that you should check out. It's growing in popularity and has everything you need without feeling like you have to go all the way up into Seattle. We recently helped a couple buy their first home in Tacoma, and we came across a few super cute homes during the process in the $450,000 to $550,000 range. The median home price in Tacoma currently is $483,000.
So, quick question, can we get to the fun stuff now?
Definitely. So now we're going to take a look at two houses that we found currently on the market in Seattle. And we wanted to highlight both of these homes because it really represents two very different but also quintessential Seattle homes. Like you're either going, in the median home sale price range, you're gonna either find the older home that's been a little bit more remodeled, or you're going to find townhomes that are newer. So this one is built in 1910, and it's in Infinity Ridge neighborhood, which is not too far from Golden Gardens, which is a great beach park. And it's listed at $880,000.
This home is 4 bedrooms and I believe it's 1 bath?
Yes.
Yes.
2,100 square feet. And clearly it has some updates, but it's also kept some of that original charm.
Which might appeal to quite a few buyers who like that old school original charm, but still also have that new feel, which is really cool. I like the charm that these older homes have.
Me too. I love this little detail right here. It's a doorknob.
Mine was my grandmother's house, actually.
Right? So the one thing you want to keep in mind, because you can see here, your neighbor is right up against your home. So that's one of the things you're going to find in Seattle. No matter where you're looking, really, is you're not going to find a whole lot of space. You're going to be
at that price point.
Yeah. Yep. You're going to be pretty much right up to close to your neighbors. So this home clearly did a partially finished basement situation to increase the square footage of living space.
Something you're also going to find and notice with a lot of homes in Seattle, whether you're looking at a townhome or a standalone family home type, is that you're not going to have as much yard space generally as in the city. Now this one does have a pretty decent yard. For Seattle, that's actually a really good yard. But most of the time you're not going to find a lot of yard space.
Right. So let's go ahead and go check out the townhome that we found that it's currently listed for $870,000. It was built this year.
Okay,
so this is
a 2024 build.
Yep, and this is a new community. And it's also 4 bedrooms. This one has 2.5 baths. So the cool thing about the newer builds, these newer townhomes, is yes, there's going to be less square footage. So this one is 1,721 square feet versus the other one was 2,100 square feet. But the newer builds are designed for efficiency and they're designed for modern city living.
So I think that a thing to point out is that's going to save you money when it comes to your bills, like electric and gas and whatever else. That energy efficiency is really going to save you some money.
Oh, for sure.
Another thing to remember when you're dealing with Seattle homes, townhomes, and you'll notice this a lot, and if this is even with standalone homes at times, is because of the lack of space in Seattle, a lot of buildings are building up, not out. And this particular exterior is actually very common nowadays when it comes to building in Seattle area or in Western Washington, is this
building up
and this kind of model of the way the exterior looks. It's kind of normal.
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to point out this rooftop deck. So this is going to give you a great view, 360 view most of the time in these townhomes, and it's a really perfect spot for summer barbecues.
And I think that helps make up, they do to make up for that lack of outdoor, like backyard space,
so you
as
can
they give you the rooftop.
Clearly see here that there's no yard for these units.
So what kind of payment would you expect to pay on something like this?
So perfect timing. Thanks for that question. So here is a mortgage calculator. The link is going to be in the description box below. This is Rocket Mortgage, and we're going to put in the townhome is $870, and we're saying 20% down, 30-year term, and we're going to just assume that your rate that you were able to lock in is 6.5%, and calculate that out, and we've got a total of $5,000 a month for your house payment. And that includes $4,399 for your principal and interest, $573 for your taxes, and $80 in insurance.
So something to point out too, we did do based off the $880,000 as well earlier, and it's actually about a little over $51,000 a month.
So we can do that.
$5,100.
There you go.
Sorry.
So we've got $5,100 a month. So anywhere in that price point, you're going to expect a little over $5,000 a month in your home payment. And this is a really great resource. They've got all kinds of calculators on here. You can go in here and you can put in your stuff to find home affordability calculator, your mortgage, renting versus buying. So all kinds of really good resources here for you. So next up, we're gonna look at the Renton.
Okay.
The Renton spot. So this spot is listed at $705,000.
4-bedroom, 3.25 baths.
So same bedrooms, more bathrooms. 2,570 square feet.
So less money and more square footage outside of Seattle.
This house was built in 2006. And if you put those numbers in that calculator, you're looking at around $4,000 a month in your house payment. So this is a pretty good house for $700,000, and you're really only about 15-20 minutes away from Seattle.
True. So it's another thing to point out, of course, this is going to be more in a neighborhood. When you get more into Renton and things like that in other parts outside of the city of Seattle. You do have neighborhoods, of course, within Seattle.
Well, they're just still neighborhoods.
But it's still neighborhoods, they're just a little different.
There's like a different feel.
There's a different feel. This is going to be more of that neighbor, get to know your neighbor feel versus Seattle. You know?
That is something I experienced. I lived in Seattle for a really long time, and I really didn't ever get to know my neighbors much. It's just, again, that Seattle freeze. Like, you have to go get involved with community things in order to really break the ice in Seattle. Whereas just outside of Seattle, all of a sudden my neighbors are coming and greeting me with cookies. It was very interesting.
So now I think we're going to move over to Bremerton.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people probably never heard of Bremerton. Bremerton is actually just a 15-minute ferry ride across the water to get to Seattle.
And man, that is a beautiful ride.
And it's a beautiful ride. Exactly. And a lot of people don't realize, so what is Bremerton known for? And Bremerton is actually known for being home to the Puget Sound's Naval Shipyard, one of the West Coast's largest and most important naval bases, which most people probably, unless you're military, don't realize. And it's actually a really great area and affordable.
Right. So this house is brand new build, 2024, listed at $475,000. The square footage is 1,680 square feet. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. And again, modern build, so it's designed for modern lifestyles and efficiency, right?
And this one's actually in a development or more of a master plan community also. So you're gonna have like parks and walking trails and things like that around the area. And it's a lot more bang for your buck when you're outside of Seattle.
Yep, for sure. So let's put this in. We're going 475, right?
And with the same criteria, 20% down.
We're gonna go 30, and the zip code is, well, it doesn't really matter. It's Washington. I played around with that. It does not change at all, depending on which city you're in.
Wow. So you're looking at a mortgage payment of about $2,798 a month with a that's including principal and interest. So your principal is $2,402, taxes $301, and insurance is going to be around $95 a month.
Yep.
So way more bang for your buck outside of Seattle versus being directly in Seattle.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Big difference down here. So if any of these homes caught your eye or you want to take a look at some others, leave us a comment below.
Now, before you rush off to buy that dream home, there are a few other things to consider. Things like property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maintenance costs. Oh, and not to mention HOA fees, which a lot of those newer builds that we were just looking at are definitely gonna have.
Generally, yeah. And surprise repairs, like when your faucet suddenly decides it wants to become a waterfall indoors.
Exactly. Now, property taxes vary depending on where you buy. For example, in Tacoma, you're looking at around 1.2%, which works out to be about $5,500 a year on a $500,000 home.
And homeowners insurance is usually another $50 to $150 a month, depending on coverage. But let's be honest, that peace of mind is totally worth it.
Experts recommend setting aside about 1 to 2% of your home's value for annual maintenance. That's a smart way to plan for any repairs that come your way.
Because when life happens, it's always good to have a little wiggle room, right? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Buying a home doesn't have to be stressful once you know your numbers and have a plan. And remember, every buyer is unique.
And we're here to help. If you're wondering how much house you can afford, reach out to us because we love talking about homes and numbers. Well, Brandy likes talking about numbers. I'm just here for the jokes and the good looks.
Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss out on our insider tips on making Western Washington your home sweet home.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And remember, if you're planning a move to Western Washington, whether next month or next year, we're on board to do all the legwork to expedite your relocation decision. Just give us a call, send us an email, or click the link below to schedule a chat. Until next time, explore, dream, and discover the best places to call home. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.